You're listening to the RE Social Podcast with your hosts, Andrew and Vince from AnVi Invest. For more information, go to anviinvest.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome to another episode of RE Social Podcast. Today's going to be just Drew and I. We just came back from our Euro trip, our first Euro trip, right?
Yeah, first of many, hopefully. I had a great time.
Yeah, technically I've been to England before, but after the whole Brexit, I don't think they consider it part of Europe, according to our European friends.
That's true.
Yeah.
Although, interesting fact, I met a lot of people. I felt like the Brits were some of the friendliest, actually, when I was out that way. You know?
Yeah, even on the first day on Barcelona, there were some, friendly Brits running around on the pub crawl.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a good time, man. We hit the ground running, had a lot of fun. It was with what we call our Wolf Pack. And, we call it that way because it's like everyone we roll with is like big players. Like they all have their own individual like skill sets. And with our powers combined, we are the Power Rangers. Or what is it? What's the one where they all have their powers and they're like Captain Planet? Am I crossing my superhero stuff?
They're both like that. Power Rangers too. They joined to form the
you know what?
Go Power Rangers. I mean, except for Vivek. Vivek goes to bed at 8 p.m. with his eye masks and sunglasses and earphones, and reading a book about Spain in Spain, but he will not go out.
That's part of a superpower. That's part of what he's bringing to the table. Conservatism. Yeah, he's the reason why I got my stocks set up. I had a couple calls with him where I was teaching him some of what I was good at, and then he taught me like some basically what he was doing. I remember I read one Warren Buffett book, and I was like, no, I read one chapter of a Warren Buffett book. Shortly after reading the greatest little book on investing, which I recommend to everybody, go buy it now. Anyways, but I read that and I was like, cool, stocks, not my thing. It's not my thing. And that's when I took that approach of kind of just doing more index funds. And it's been kind of more of a passive plug and play that has helped me a lot to get to the net worth that I have, which is awesome. So I got him to thank. Conservatism.
A lot of people might not know he's one of my oldest best friends from India. He's the reason I was able to easily come to the US because he told me, hey, you need to have a 3 or 4 GPA. And he got us both into real estate too, because he got in real estate first. After
he's technically what I consider one of our early mentors. Yeah. And in hindsight, I probably would have, if I could do something different, I would have definitely more aggressively like got on the phone with him and asked him more questions, because we definitely made our fair share of mistakes, things that he'd probably gone through, maybe would have punished us a little bit less so. Although, it's easy to say that now, but 6 years later, now we're coaching clients. I actually feel like we're even more qualified to coach people because we did a lot of things the hard way and we learned things the hard way. So like even with our client now, Bruce, we're like, do not buy in that area. Stop sending us this bull, And I think it's because we've had so many of those deals. Arguably, you can still have some of those deals where they're like not great areas, not bad, but like, it comes with the territory. When you buy in rougher areas, you get rougher tenants. It's hard to attract great tenants that just pay premiums and leave you alone. So
yeah, we definitely don't have D neighborhoods anymore. Maybe I would argue we don't even have any C or C minus, man.
Yeah, I think you're right. There are no C's. It's all B minuses at the least and up. And for anyone listening, that's how they kind of rate the areas and neighborhoods and the real estate world. A class obviously being like, fine, or some are super nice. B and then C, and then our first property we ever bought, triplex, is what we call the Quincy, which is the Quincy debacle, the Quincy.
Mistake.
What should we call it?
But
the Quincy mistake.
The Quincy is funny.
D. That was a hard D. That was an F.
that's a D minus. But let's give the listeners something fun listen to, and maybe they can learn from our mistakes. And maybe Bruce, if you're listening, this is why we're telling people don't buy in like bad neighborhoods. So, Drew, do you want to tell them what's today's special day for us?
Nah.
We're actually
You do the
exiting.
honors.
Yeah, we told you guys that we exited Bakersfield a few months back, but technically that was not true. Today, as of 5 p.m., is when we are totally out of Bakersfield, California. And why is that, Drew?
Yeah. Bakersfield has been like one giant cockroach that just won't die.
Yeah, it's just
And for
it's a
anyone
thriving
listening, by
city,
the
dude.
way, I love Bakersfield. I actually do. Like, there's some great parts, but there are also some bad parts, and that's where the affordable real estate is. That's what the first deal was. But the reason why, we're excited, especially because as of 2 hours ago, we finally settled a lawsuit from our first property we bought over 6 years ago. Some chick claimed, she fell in a hole that we didn't even know about. I remember the day that it happened, I got the call from property management. I stocked everything. I think you did the same. And we're just like, cool, let's fix it. What do we got to do? You sent a basket, and still she took us to court for some BS. And that, by the way, you guys, is just to fast forward to the bullet points, why we love our red states. I'm not a political person. I barely know what the hell's going on, if I'm being honest. But I do know that my money is treated better. I'm treated better in red conservative states. So sorry, I went off a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, we settled a lawsuit in that property, and she fell in a hole, and she wanted $500,000 for it, but we just settled, and it was $100,000 is what our insurance paid out. So that's why. And you should ask me like questions as you see fit, so that
definitely will.
Yeah, so that you can kind of like learn, and people can learn too, like how lawsuits work and whatever, all those things. But yeah, her claim was she wanted $500,000. She had a bunch of these documents saying that she had all these damages. She was in the hospital for 2 hours, by the way, and she had over $250,000 worth of expenses from the 2 hours she was in the hospital for. It was fun.
Well, hold on. How?
She just said her back hurts, her neck hurts, her face hurts. She couldn't get pregnant, and her boyfriend left her. There were cockroaches in the house. The rats were biting her. Just adding on stuff. They can throw everything at it, and we were able to debunk most of it. But being California, it's very tenant friendly and very blue, so it's easy to just grab some money like that.
And it's a very litigious state. This is now the second lawsuit that we have kind of been a part of, more or less, that we've lost. And I wasn't on the phone with you whenever you had the initial consultation with the attorney, but I'm sure they told you the same thing they told me. And that is, we'll do our best, but it's such a hard state to do battle in when you're a business owner or a property owner. Was that the conversation or no?
Yeah, it is the conversation, but the very good thing is that this is our first property, and I was already cracked out and nerded out on all the policies and all that stuff, and I put ourselves on a $500,000 of coverage on liabilities in case somebody sued us, right?
Nice.
So we only needed $100,000 of coverage. So we were covered for that. So we would actually pay nothing out of pocket to this lawsuit. So which is really cool. So people talk about LLCs and blah 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 and all those things. Those are all like when all of this fails, So
when the insurance fails.
Insurance fails. So even if I had this, this was the first property. So by the time I was putting everything into LLCs, now everything is in LLCs. But this wasn't in an LLC, so it was under my personal name. So they could come after other. So how that works is if they find that you were careless in the property, and then they will say, okay, now you're going to be charged. It's going to be punitive damages, which means punishment. So if they prove that, then they can go after other things that you have and take from that. But obviously she was lying for most of it, so they couldn't find anything on punitive. So they can only claim from from that property.
What let's kind of play it out as like a worst case scenario. Let's say, we were super negligent and didn't answer the phone and didn't do repairs and didn't take care of the tenants nor the property. And let's also say we didn't have insurance, we didn't have anything. You just owned the property. What's happening now?
Well, what happened is the guy who is suing us, the lawyer will do a title search and see how much properties we have and equity we have.
Mhm.
And then they're going to find, oh, these guys have some money or something. But then they're going to sue us for it. And now that we don't have insurance, so for this $100,000 is what we have. You're saying worst case scenario. So let's say it was $1 million.
Worst of worst.
Let's say she broke her hip or something, or she claims to have broken her hip or whatever, right?
Sure.
And there's $1 million of damages. We don't have coverage. We don't have any umbrella insurance.
Okay.
Now, we would have to sell all of our other properties until we can come up with $1 million to pay that settlement. So we will basically lose all of our properties.
Wow.
Or most
That's
of it,
insane.
at least.
That's wild. Well, I'm grateful. So the first steps, let's talk about why that didn't happen. What were some of those like most important integral steps that we took to make sure we were protected? So obviously you got insurance.
Well, yeah. So the good news is we were poor when we bought it, right? So when we bought it when we were poor, what does that mean? You need a loan to buy the property, right? Because you don't have whatever it was, $250,000 when we bought it. So we only put, I don't know, 40 grand or something down. So we needed to go to the bank and borrow the remaining money. The bank is not idiot. So the bank will be like, do you have insurance? They'll be like, yeah, no loan for you. So we had to get a loan.
Or else the bank will not give you.
Yeah, we had to get insurance. Yeah. So we had.
And did they require a certain level of insurance, or does every lender have their own requirements?
Yeah,
does that change with the amount that they're loaning? How does that work?
It doesn't change with the amount they are loaning, but certain banks have certain limits, mostly standardized, I think. But we got more than we were required to. I think $250,000 or something was the liability coverage or something. You need replacement costs and all that stuff. But I always go higher for liability in terms of if something happens with the lawsuit. So we had a $500,000 liability coverage. And our lawsuit was settled out of court, which means I will not be going to court, and they will be settling it, and they'll just write them a check, and then they'll take the $100,000.
That's great. And so, what gave you the foresight to think to go into doing a policy so generous to go say double the property value when we purchased it?
Well, the liability. It first of all, it wasn't that much higher in terms of money. It's only like, I don't know, $50 or like $60.
The monthly payments?
Yeah, the monthly payments.
Okay.
It was not even $50. It was like less than that. So I was like, makes mathematically sense to go with that, because see, like the last 2 years, I wasn't actually losing sleep over this, even though it was annoying, because I knew we had $500,000 of policy, right? I talked to the lawyer. They were like, yeah, there's no way she's getting $500,000 or more than that. It's not going to happen. So that was good, even though we didn't need it, right? But it's definitely, right. I wouldn't change that.
So you slept knowing that like we were covered, and okay, that's great.
But if they did find that we were careless, and if it becomes punitive damages in the middle,
right,
the policy would not cover it.
So what qualifies as careless? What are some of those things that we can tell anyone listening? Definitely take care of and not do, because I know for sure we've been great in, getting repairs done, and even when we were broke, just figuring it out and getting things done the right way, which I'm very proud of. What are some of those things that people should be,
The number one thing is that we outsource our management to third-party management companies. So our liabilities are already lower in terms of actually what we need to do day-to-days. Because I'll be like, I'm not even involved, bro. What do you mean? Like, I didn't change the light bulb. That is another company we're paying. So they have their own insurance too, right? So we're already pretty well protected there.
And let me ask, that kind of opens a whole other can of worms. if someone's a property owner and they're running and they're managing our home and this happens, what risk do they have and what kind of insurance do they need? Do you know?
They will need a business operating insurance. So they're just running
Mm-hmm.
a business. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, I'm okay. So by the way, this is not legal advice. So don't take this for legal advice. To all you
Yeah.
morons listening and trying to sue us again, don't do that.
Everyone just know that Vince just reads way more than anyone you know.
Yeah.
And so this is a great opportunity for me to kind of like scoop information out of his brain. He's not a professional in any way. So, okay.
Yes. It's not legal advice.
Yeah.
So what was your question? Sorry.
So my question was, what kind of risk does the property management?
So the property management was also named in the lawsuit, right?
Oh,
But at
yeah.
the end of the day, they're going to find out who owns the asset, who has the
Mm,
equity, who has the
mm,
money. That's the one
mm.
who are going to get hit.
So
So
the attorneys make this decision. They see you, they see our management, and they're like, who cares about management? They don't have anything. They look at the owner because they assume that they have deeper pockets.
yeah,
That's
and then they
yeah.
kind of also figure out the policies and how much we have in the policies, and they just go after that usually. That's most of the
Got it.
lawsuit. But because they can't really get more than that because it's almost a bogus lawsuit anyway. Um, but they know they can make like 50 grand on it, so they just do that. So, for example, I'll give a good example is you throw a rager at your house. I come to your house, and let's say I don't own your house, right? And I push your girlfriend, and she falls down. She's suing you, and you will lose the house, probably, or like you will have to play some claims because it is your property. I will just leave.
Okay. So ultimately, the property owner is always on
Property
the
owner
hook
is
more
always
than anybody
liable.
else. Even if, let's say the property manager was the property manager and they're in charge of all these things that you could be negligible for. So even though that's the case,
Yeah, they will still sue the guy who owns the property. It'll always
wow.
come to that. That's why I'm always cracked out in every thing. I just see random people in the house. I'm going to ask you to leave very fast.
Yeah, there's been a couple instances where we've had some friends who have had couple too many drinks, and it was very, very quick where they were escorted out, and I think that
Yeah,
was the wise move. It's like it's time for you to get in an Uber, send you home with your
yeah,
friend, have a good night. Not here though. So
yeah. We don't like having drunk people, especially girls, in the house. It's just too much
yep,
liability. I just don't
yep,
want that.
yeah. Well, man. So how do you feel though now that Bakersfield is officially a closed chapter?
It feels good, man. I mean, it helped us a lot. It helped we almost made $1 million there, gross, not net. I think the net was a little bit lower, but so that was, it's kind of a very good learning experience. Even after all of
Yeah,
this, we came out like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the positive.
yeah,
When everyone told us we are idiots, the whole world,
yeah.
not one person said you guys are smart. You should continue doing this. Maybe Vivek
Yeah,
did.
everybody who poo-pooed it and thought I was a psycho and thought you were scamming me because I
Mhm.
was just like, I don't know, we're buying this, he's doing, I'm gonna drive up there and we're gonna fix it out. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
everybody who said those things, but nobody has any sizable net worth who said those things.
yeah,
Just so you know.
yeah.
So not that I'm saying if you're broke and you have no net worth, you're worthless, but what I am saying is you are worthless if you're giving me financial advice. Fuck off. You don't know shit. Now, if the guy who owns a couple million and has been doing this for a few years says something like that, I'm going to listen. I'm like, wait. Okay, tell me more. Why? Why? And this is something that I actively do now as a business owner and property owner. Somebody I can see who's like been in the game and knows their shit when they speak, I listen. Now you are giving me some value because so many people, especially in this industry, are coaching and charging crazy amounts and own one property. Like it just blows my mind, like how rife this community is with that kind of nonsense. And I think that's really what helped us to get the confidence to start coaching. We're like, wait a minute, we have this net worth, we control 10 million, we've been buying for 6 years, and we're not coaching. I feel bad. I feel like we're not giving value in a way that could help the next guy not to experience the mistakes that we made. Yeah, and if you guys are listening, I am making a absolute shameless plug. You should call us and talk about getting coaching, but don't do it if you're just looking to dabble or you're kicking tires or you've been talking about your LLC that you're going to set up for the last year. Don't call us, please. Go away. But if you're serious and you've been listening and you've been studying, you've been reading books, and you've been maybe even running numbers on deals, and you just want that like someone to hold your hand and make sure you don't make all the mistakes and that you crush at your first deal, that's what we do.
Yeah,
So,
even if you're dabbling and like trying to figure out what to do, I mean, you could just do the free phone call with us, and I'll tell you you're a loser and hang up. So at least you get that for free.
At least you'll know.
I mean, at least you'll know. If not, I'll be like, hey, you could do this.
And Vince, and he, you're so funny, bro. Like, you're deep down, Vince is a softie, just so everyone knows. I'm gonna let the whole world know he's the fucking nicest guy in the world. He won't. He may tell you you're a loser, but he'll be like, "But here's what you need to do to not be a loser, and then you can start doing deals. So call us when you're ready." And I think that's really what your specialty is, because we're doing these coaching calls. I'll be like, "Cool, this is gonna happen, and this," and then I'm talking about like where their mindset needs to be, and you're very good about like, "Cool, step 1 and 2, goodbye." Which I think is really a great balance in our coaching.
Yeah. It is fun though. I do enjoy it. But it is very hard, I would say, for my personality to for people or for me to listen to people when I know they're just like fucking around telling me stories. I'm just like, it is so difficult for me, dude. My brain is like boxing me in the face, like just like about to just tear it up. But
Yeah,
I try to,
right. Well, yeah, I basically wanted to also give them everyone that's listening. This is kind of a general L&D update. I wanted a part of this to be a kind of final chapter, closing the books in Bakersfield. And again, I want to reiterate, Bakersfield. It's a bittersweet moment for me because it gave us our start. It's definitely been quite a journey and kind of a rough journey in the first few years for sure. But I'm glad we went through it. And the only reason why we were able to not just survive it, but to thrive out of it is because of one thing. Vince, can you reveal the one thing that saved our asses despite the mistakes?
We just was in the game. We just didn't quit.
Didn't quit. Just stayed in it. And actually,
we thought about it every day.
We did, dude. We had a lot of conversations for like, bro, where it was like the mortgage was like, I think it was less than $2,000 a month or something.
Bro,
right?
the mortgage was $1,700, and we were like,
bro, we were like crying. We're paying like how I'm like wiring. I'm like, oh, it's another $850. Oh no, I'm like in my little apartment. Like I don't have anything anyway, And I had plenty of income for that wasn't that big of a deal. But just the fact that I had to, I was all like in my head about it. But I would have done that.
No, I think at that point you were starting your school, so you actually didn't have a lot of money. You're spending a lot of money there.
I was doing, yeah, that's right. I was doing very well actually just teaching guitar out of my home, better than most people would ever imagine. But it's still like I think it was more of an emotional thing for me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like we got our first check and it got rescinded by the bank 2 days later by the other tenants, and then the other tenants didn't answer the door because they're selling meth. And the third property manager finally is sticking around and going to get the evictions going. All the while, I'm driving up every other weekend with my stepdad to paint the middle unit, build fences, repair things, doing our best to hire whoever we can to help us out with whatever we needed in the roughest of areas. So rough, you guys, that I like telling the story where I was painting one of the units. It was the meth dealer unit. And we were up there. And by the way, every night we'd have to board up all the windows and the doors. We would actually put a big piece of a giant board, piece of wood we got from Home Depot, and we would screw in like it's a specialty kind of screw. Like you can't just show up with a Phillips head. It's like a special thing. Anyways, we had to do that every single night. Like once dusk hit, go to the hotel. Like it was nuts, you guys. And during the day while we were there, once it got dusk, and if we kept working into the night, like when we were painting the house one night, I had multiple crackheads walk up, like very cliche, like scratching their neck, kind of like a little weird and jittery, asking where Shorty is. Guys, I'm not making this up. And I'm just like, guy, no one named Shorty is ever gonna live here again. Just so you know. Watch, they probably live there now. Now that we sold it, they took it back over.
Yeah.
But no, like those stories are fun now. But
We shaped up that
um,
property pretty good, man. We put some
we
nice
did a great
fences
job,
and
bro.
stuff.
We put up a huge fence in the back, got it really nice and secure because there's like a sketchy alley behind it.
Mhm.
I learned to build a fence, which was cool. I learned so much, man, on that property. Like that's
But the point
it's
is,
something
you
that
know,
I'm grateful for.
Have you thought about investing in real estate and taking advantage of all of those benefits without any of the work? That is something that AnVi Invest not only provides, but has been providing since its inception. With friends and family, we have built an empire and a system of a wealth generating tool that is giving us and our friends and family that leverage in their life to create true wealth. Go to onvinvest.com for more to see if you qualify. And thanks for listening.
for the people, people probably thinking we're just rambling. We are kind of rambling of our story, but we want you guys to learn from it. When you see on Instagram and your moron friend is driving a Porsche because he has like 5 properties and look, I'm like killing it. Here's the real facts. Maybe we should do a short with this on Instagram. Is we have $10 million of assets we control, right? We don't own. We only own half of it. The half is owned by my others, people who invest with us, right? We make $0. We've been doing this for 6 years. We bring in about $700,000, more than that, in gross revenue every month, every year, and we still take home $0.0, and we are still doing this. So you have to do this for a really like a long time, and you should have a long-term mindset to do this. You're not going to get like cash money with rentals and flash and do stuff. That's not the game. We do have a lot of equity. Our company has about $3 million of equity combined with all of our properties, which is kind of cool. But we don't make any money. Like I'm not getting any money to go spend in Europe with my properties. There's nothing there, but the long term wealth is there. So now we're trying to actually figure out how to make some short term income because
Yeah.
that's kind of like what we're trying to do
That's
because we
our
figured out the
that's
long
the
term stuff.
next yeah, the next 4 or 5 years, I think, will be the cash flow game. And I think um with just what we've gone through and now that we've been able to get a handful of coaching clients that we are giving a ton of value to. I can't wait to get like their reviews. Like I want to get a video testimonial of everybody who's actually taking action and eventually like really have like a branch where we're doing a lot of coaching, maybe doing seminars. Again, you guys gotta keep in mind, like I'm a teacher, like I just like to help people in whatever it is that I'm genuinely qualified to help you with. Very key distinction, you guys. So if you ask me for real estate advice, please, like you need to talk to me in this. If you're asking me how to, you know, do basket weaving, cool, I'm not your guy or whatever. And we're very honest about that. We've had some questions come our way where it's like, that's not what we do. Sorry. But the point is, I think between the coaching and just being more clever and going into red states where we're doing these. So you guys, what's really helping us is the coaching and getting a good amount of cash from that, and giving way more value than we're getting back in cash for sure. Like people are saving hundreds of thousands of dollars of what would have been a mistake because they just had a 30-minute phone call with us. So there's that, and then there's the obviously we're doing this interesting hybrid model. We're doing midterm rentals and very, I would say, tertiary markets of uh, you know red states. And I just threw you guys a lot, but basically what that means is it's a really unique model where we're furnishing the unit and then we're renting it out for preferably around 60 days or 60 to 90 days, giving somebody a great place to temporarily live. And the key thing that I wanted to talk about though is it's always in a place where we're appreciating. It's always an appreciating market. And I do want to go real quick, you guys. I'm going to go back to there were two things that really helped us to survive when we bought Quincy 6 years ago. And that is obviously just keep going. And we kept buying deals and just said, fuck it. We're going to learn and we're going to go. Because it's like, what else do you have? Like, and then the second thing was appreciation, you guys. That is huge. If you don't have an appreciating market and you're looking into it, we're just going to tell you to not go into the deal.
You're going to be dead in the water.
There's no, not so, because now here's what's happening. Yeah, you might be in a little community in Ohio that's, it's cash flowing a few $100s. Let's say you're cash flowing, $500 every month on a duplex in Ohio, let's just say, which by the way, I know these people and they're crushing it. Like, I'm doing great. I got real estate. I'm in it. Cool. That's great. And then what happens?
Roof is down.
Oh, your roof. Oh, because it's actually inclement weather because you're in goddamn Ohio. Now you need to replace your roof. How much does that cost?
At least 10 grand.
At least 10, usually 20. Cool. All that cash flow and you're crushing it. It's gone. And now you owe an extra, probably 5 out of pocket. You're back to square one. And because you don't have any appreciation, you're literally losing money on this deal. Maybe you're getting some experience and you stick in it and you're staying in the game, but I'm telling you, you're doing it the hard way. And that's really been the biggest takeaway, I think, is as long as it's appreciating, that's where the real gain is in when you're going to sleep and you wake up the next day and your property value has gone up again.
If I really knew what I was doing when we started, but there's no way, I would never known. I would have bought properties in B neighborhoods in Bakersfield, which made like no money in the first year, but we would have come out on top more on that.
Yep. And to play devil's advocate, but you wouldn't be as smart in like the real like day-to-day stuff.
That's true.
And I think it's good. It's like I said, it's easier to say this in hindsight, but I think it's a good thing that we actually have touched the stove and got burned a couple times, because now we're so vigilant with our clients that we're like, no, don't stop. This place is going to fall into a hole in less than 5 years. You need to not even touch that deal, or this place has sneakers on the power lines. You need to move very quickly. There are bars in the windows. Don't send me these properties.
There was not even one deal in Bakersfield that we had that was like a slam dunk, like winner deal. I guess Iris was a slam dunk.
I loved Iris. Yeah, Iris is great. Well, let's talk about Iris. Let's talk about like the difference, you guys. So Iris was a triplex that we owned. It was pink. It's just a fun detail.
Hey, not when we sold it though. Wasn't pink anymore. I fixed it.
We got a paint job. Yeah.
Which helped. Bought it for 190, sold it for 390 after 4 years. I would say we probably put in at least 50 grand. Let's just say, fuck it. Mm-hmm. So, we made 150 grand.
And for anyone listening, yeah, that's you guys understand, like, after all the expenses, if you would have bought that deal, you would have bought it from us or whatever, you would have got it, and bought it by yourself, you would have made 150K in 4 years.
Half of it, because we would own half, right?
What I'm saying is if they just did it by themselves.
Oh, okay.
Like this is in a city that everyone makes fun of. This is Bakersfield. Like, these are the kind of gains that you could have, but everyone just talks shit and doesn't do anything. So anyways, back to this Iris thing. So why was it our best deal yet? Obviously, we pulled a lot of money out of it, which is great. Put it into the next deal with Steve-O. Steve, you're the man. How many properties does Steve own with us now?
Steve owns 3 properties with us. He owns half of Highland, 40% of Cornelius in Tennessee, actually.
Nice.
And he owns like 10% of Main Street.
Great. Steve's crushing it. Steve is one of our first early partners. Didn't even ask questions. I remember we'd be like, no, here's how it's going. He's like, yeah, it's fine. Let's just go. Let's put it in. He's just such a cool guy. But it's cool that he had faith in us, and obviously you guys had a huge rapport and a lot of trust already built, because he was your friend, your coworker. But yeah, he's killing it. He's building a lot of net worth and equity, and is he making? He's got a very conservative income. He's doing good.
I think I was doing some calculations for Steve. I think he has over $200,000 of equity with us.
That's crazy, man. Good for him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That feels good. Anyways, but back to Iris. So he owned the deal with us. He partnered on the deal. I think he tossed 40-50K at it. And what kind of cash flow are we getting on that?
On Iris?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing exciting. I would say we
400 bucks.
definitely, over the 4 years, we were definitely positive in cash flow,
Yep.
even with repairs
Yep.
on
Yep.
Iris, I would say. So
Yep.
we didn't lose money.
And
So I would say we made a solid 160 grand in profit on Iris.
yeah, that was one of those properties that just kind of worked out. And I think one of the key differentiators was the area. Um, the area was nicer. I mean, it was so nice it kind of confused me. If you walked around, I walked around the block. I remember that before we bought the deal, when the inspector was doing their thing, and we're just like, my mom could walk in this neighborhood, like, and I'd be okay with that. That's kind of my ultimate test now, and that was the first property in which I felt that genuinely. Did you feel the same thing when you were there?
Yeah, the houses around it was pretty nice, and
Yeah.
it was pretty good. Another thing that I learned while so now that we've done a lot of full cycle deals, that's the term they use in multifamily, is when you buy the property, improve it, and then sell it, and then redistribute like the cash flow and the funds to the people, investors, and ourselves. It's called a full cycle deal. So we've done multiple full cycle deals now, like
Mhm.
over a dozen. What I learned was we tried to sell Iris last year and we couldn't sell it because of probably the pink paint and like there's people living there and the squatters and stuff. So I decided to pull it from the market and then go through the eviction, get the guy evicted out, spend like, I don't know, 20 grand, let's just say 20 grand, improving the property, and then sold it for 40 grand more. And it sold like so fast. People were fighting, like fist fighting for the house. The same house, which was on the market for 6 months, people were just spitting on it. They were like, this is a trash house. Same house. We changed the paint, got out the tenants. I mean, to be honest, that's the better buy for the guy, even with $40,000 more, because there's no problems anymore in the property.
Exactly, exactly. Anyone experienced is going to be, looking at it like that as well. And so I love, by the way, that our best deal in Bakersfield still at some point had a squatter.
Not
Just
when we
like,
sold it, but yeah, we just still had a
right.
squad.
Well, at some point, there was some guy that was in there with a Confederate flag in his garage, and yeah, you had to go to the court to get him out, which is fine. But yeah, that's a whole. Listen to I forgot what number that is, but we got a couple episodes, and one in particular, we go really hard on squatter issues. So maybe look for that next time. But yeah, man, it feels good to be out of Bakersfield, and it feels really good to be back home. I think I'm finally caught up on sleep. Vince and I just got back from Europe. We were gone for 3 weeks. It's one of many trips. And bro, I was so happy to see you like bouncing and smiling and cracking jokes like you were before you even started investing in real estate. You guys gotta understand, I met Vince back in the day, um, and he was always like the smiliest guy, like just always happy, always smiling, always cracking jokes. Um, and you had that again in Europe constantly. I was dying laughing. And you weren't even trying to be funny. You were just like you're just shooting stuff out of the hip, and I'm losing it. I forgot what you were saying. That's irrelevant, but I liked it. But it took 6 years, you guys. Just sit here listening. I want you to understand. It took 6 years to go from like, okay, holy shit, I'm making a lot of moves. I'm a little stressed. So it definitely dimmed your light. And I think honestly, you guys, that's a necessary part of really leveling up. It's do or don't, and it's hard. Okay. It is what it is. You need grit. You need to take chances. You're going to get punched in the face a little bit, whether you're opening a new boutique or buying real estate. You're going to suffer stress and mistakes. And that's exactly what we've done. And I'm very proud to say that I think we're now in a really great place. We've learned a lot of those mistakes. We'll still make a mistake here and there, I'm sure. There's always another level. So there's always, a blind spot that we won't know, despite reading, tons of books and having mentors. So it's always a thing. But the point is um, if you guys are looking to change your life and really level up, it can be done. But you're going to have a lot of grit and you're going to have to push through emotions. I'm glad we did. And I'm glad now we're enjoying a lot of the fruits of our labor. I'm glad that I'm in a place, you guys, just, I'm humble bragging right now, where I could still be there. In fact, I thought about going to Italy. But I was like, I'm kind of getting a little homesick. I'm going to head back for a minute. But we're going to be in Mexico in a couple months, you guys. I'll probably be there for a few weeks myself, and then I'm going to live in Asia in early 2025, and then we'll go to Turkey. And you guys, we've set ourselves up now, and we're in a place to where we're making more money in our sleep than most people make in in their entire lives. So I want you guys to understand that that came with a big sacrifice. It came with finding appreciating markets. It came with just keeping going and having faith, confidence in ourselves, and learning from those mistakes. And it came from not listening to naysayers who aren't qualified to say anything.
Yeah.
Extra, So I'm really glad we stuck with it. I kind of want to wrap up the podcast. I'm going to go out and have a drink. I want to catch up with some old friends. I haven't seen anybody since I got back. It's only been a couple of days. Vince has still got a cold from just running it hard. We were in Santorini. I'm going in reverse order, but Athens, Santorini, Mykonos, Ibiza, Barcelona. Yeah. And doing all that in 3 weeks, man. That was a great ride. I had a great time with you, buddy. What were some of your favorite parts, your highlights from the trip? I was asking you this earlier on the phone, but just so the audience knows.
I like the food. Definitely in Europe, like my gluten allergies and dairy allergies was kind of gone.
Right.
And
Dude, that's
my
right.
eczema is gone, which is weird
Wow.
because I get it from food. I was guessing it is 100% true. So
Wow.
kind of weird. So that was kind of fun.
Kind of sad. But it was interesting watching you eat bread. Like generously, just like because they studying bread. It's actually really like nice
Nice
tasty
bread.
texture too. Oils and like olive oil and all that. And I remember the first meal we had that, and I was like, dude, go for it. Let's see what happens. And you were fine. No inflamed gut, no, whatever your symptoms are. I actually don't even know. I'm sorry. But none of that, man, which is great. So the food, obviously riding, four-wheelers around the cliffs of Mykonos to and from our like giant mansion with a 180 ocean view was just like it was so awesome. We decided to book another night. We stayed an extra night before going to Santorini with another ocean view.
I think we
That's
stayed an extra night in Mykonos, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun, man, to
Yeah.
drive around in the buggies and the scooter was kind of fun. Talking to chicks in Spanish, and they're holding out
Yeah.
the phone to navigate back home, and it's just fun.
Yeah. That was a great time, man. Yeah. Many more, man. You're gonna have a great time in Mexico, bro. I'm gonna make sure that we do it right for sure and keep it going. So, anyways, I think that's a good place to wrap. Just a little quick update, you guys. We definitely need to do a little bit of bragging, so I'm sorry, but I'm just very proud of the hard work that we put in and the lessons that we learned. If you guys do feel like you benefit from coaching and you are ready to take it serious and actually start looking at deals or just getting your life together in general, because everyone's in different stages, please reach out to us. Vince at ontheinvestments.com would be the best to get a hold of Vince. And mine is Andrew at ontheinvestments.com. There's a double I in On The Investments. Reach out to us with questions, comments, concerns if you're wanting to get some coaching. And if you want some more information about our free meetups that we do here in Orange County, if you're local to the area or even from LA or San Diego, we do have people driving down. We always give a ton of value. We just shotgun everybody with just like what lessons we've learned that past 30, 40, 60 days. Last time we got a standing ovation, which was cool. I think it's because you're just like cracking jokes. I think you're just a comedian. You don't know it. But we give you guys a ton of value. It's a great place to network and a great opportunity.
And it's free.
To level up, and it's free, So, yeah. Any
I
final
tell
words,
people, if you want to see how our coaching is for free and you want to constantly just use that, you could just come to our meetups.
Yeah.
You will be able to get maybe 10, 15 minutes of my time every month for free. And then you can kind of see what we're doing. And if you want more of our time, you just don't have that much time. You have to pay for it. That's it.
Yeah. It's just not worth it to, again, it's not a matter we don't want to help somebody for free. We've done that, but we're so busy running this business and helping people who are actually paying that it wouldn't be fair to our time and to them. So anyways, that's it, you guys. Thank you for listening. This has been another AnVi update from RA Social Podcast. Vince, you got any final advice, final word?
That's it, guys. See you next time. Yeah.
See you next time.
I don't know about you, but I definitely like to see 5-star reviews on any service or any product before I purchase. Please take a second to leave us a 5-star review, whether you're listening to it on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify, or whatever platform. Take a second, goes a long way, helps us a lot to grow the channel, and thanks for listening.